I just pressed the let's go live button. So let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet on this very lovely Friday. We want to make sure, that the platforms are picking up the signal that we are broadcasting out before we start popping off at the mouth here, on this Friday. Make sure that they are connected. It looks like they are, which is great news. Of course, we're on Rumble, we're on Locals, we're on YouTube, we're on the Facebook, we're on the Twitter, and it looks like we are alive and well now. And so let's get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Gouveia. I'm a criminal defense attorney broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun deep in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And today, my friends, we are talking about betrayal. The Biden betrayal in full swing today. Democrats are very upset about this. And you may have missed this because this is kind of a Washington, D.C. only issue. I think it's a pretty important issue because this is the issue that is the prior issue to D.C. statehood. Okay, this is where we're going to see a real big turning of the knob to demand that D.C. get statehood because of this, what happened here today. And so we're going to go through it. Democrats are very unhappy. You can see they are saying that they got blindsided by Joe Biden, and it's not just blindside, okay? There's F-bombs. We're going to see some F-bombs being dropped by Democrats. They're sending these text messages over to the people at The Hill, Politico, and all of the other political magazines, and they are fired up. In fact, Slate calls it a backstab. Why Biden stabbed D.C. in the back? Whoa, that's pretty serious, man. And over here from Slate.com, you can see Democrats are turning on Biden. White House effed this one up royally. Effing amateur hour is what David Hawkins says they're reporting about, okay? So, it's a meltdown, category 5 over there at the White House today. Biden posted a tweet. I'll explain exactly what this is all about. He's not answering any questions. He went over to D.C. over this weekend. Mayor Muriel Bowser, you know her. She's the person who rejected any support on January 6th for whatever reason. But she's really upset. She says, we must become a 51st state. And this is what happens when tyrants rain down upon us. And it's like Joe Biden's 3 blocks down, lady. All right. AOC is very unhappy about it. So we'll go through all of that. The media had several questions for Karine today. And in fact, this one was actually really good. She's actually arguing with Karine. She's like, help me understand this for the love of God. I can't piece this one together. Karine, help me. And so it was kind of fun there over in the press briefing room. And then, of course, we also got to talk about AOC because she had an ethics complaint. Remember when she wore that dress, tax the rich dress? You remember that one. And I thought I had some better pictures of that. I think we do. And so she got an ethics complaint that was bandied about some time ago. And there was a report that just got released on this today. And they say she may have broken the rules by accepting that dress for free, which is illegal and borderline insurrectionary. And so we have to talk about it. Of course we will. It's actually a pretty meaty ethics report. It's like 30 pages or something. So we'll go through all of it in detail because AOC, she needs to be held accountable, and she will on this channel. And so, my friends, if you want to be a part of the show, the place to do that is by heading on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. That is where we connect before and after the show. We also do morning and sort of member-only streams today. Talked about a little bit about a great event that I was at yesterday with JP Sears. Got to take my photo with him. And so we talked about that this morning for our members only headlines. And if you're a member on YouTube, you get all that as well. Okay, it's simulcast for both members wherever you want to support us. We appreciate it. And both memberships get access to our private Telegram group, which is a ton of fun. I mean, it's just a ton of activity. We were just talking about it on Locals. There's like 500 messages this morning, It's a lot of activity going on there. And that's what we want to see, baby. We're building a community. We love it. All right, so come check us out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com or as a member on YouTube. We also want to shout out our friends over at fieldofgreens.com, where you can get your field of greens. I've got mine. It gives me my daily servings of fruits and vegetables in a delicious, consumable drink that gives you your vitamins and minerals that you need. All organic, real organic superfood. Tastes good going down. I've tried a lot of other products, and this one is quite good. And the vegetables want to be eaten. They do. That's why they're here. They're growing out of the ground, many of them, and they're saying, eat me, eat me. And so if you don't order your field of greens and you don't use code Robert, you're disappointing. Look at these happy little carrots and these little peas. They want to go in your belly, so help them make their dreams come true. Also want to shout out our former law group, my former law group. Of course, I'm no longer at the R&R law firm. However, they are still here in Arizona, and they're doing amazing work, even better than ever now that I'm not there. And 480-787-0394 is where you can reach an amazing team who will help you or somebody you know or love if they've been charged with a crime in the state of Arizona. Find them online also at rrlawaz.com. All right, my friends. So let's get right into the program on the day because the Democrats are unhappy. Blindsided, effing amateur hour, totally screwed up and blindsided. That's just some of the language that the Democrats are using, saying that Joe Biden really dropped the ball on this one. We've got some headlines from Slate saying why Biden stabbed DC in the back. Well, that doesn't sound good. This guy says that the White House effed this up royally. Almost said it that time. Effing amateur hour. Almost, got to be careful here on this program. But we're going to go through it because Biden actually posted something on Twitter saying that he's kind of overriding DC. DC wanted to pass this crime bill, and the crime bill was going to do some things in DC, like lower penalties for carjackings and other things. And so here's what he posted on Twitter. He said, look, relax, everybody. I support DC statehood and home rule. However, I don't support some of the changes that the DC Council put forward over the mayor's objections, like lowering penalties for carjackings. If the Senate votes to overturn what DC did, he said, I'll sign it. Okay, so that means basically he's siding with the Republicans. If the bureaucrats in Washington and the Republicans take this power away from Washington, D.C., Biden's going to support that. He's going to side with the Republicans. What? All right, so the Democrats are very unhappy about this. And The Hill gave us a good article, and they tell us House Democrats feel like they've been blindsided, very dramatic, as Biden changes tune on the DC crime bill. Let's take a look at what the article tells us. This was written by Al Weaver and Michael Schnell, March 2nd. They say House Democrats were infuriated and taken aback by President Biden's announcement on Thursday that he's going to sign a resolution to nix the DC crime bill. The crime bill in D.C. has come under heavy criticism from Republicans and some centrist Democrats. But last month, 173 House Democrats, like AOC, voted along with what they thought was the White House's stance, that Biden would veto the resolution in an attempt to stand up for the district's home rule. Right? Biden's been saying that Washington, D.C. should be the 51st state. Of course, Democrats want that. It votes like 99% Democrat. Maybe a little bit less than that, sorry. But the point is, it would be another 3 electoral votes for him. They'd get another 2 senators, another, I think, 3 representatives. And that would tip the balance of power of all the elections indefinitely in their favor eternally. They're loving this. They're like, perfect, that's exactly what we need. Now, critics of this say, well, there's certain things in the Constitution that you have to follow, and, we have a sort of a district set up there, and there's also this idea that maybe D.C. is a little bit too powerful, a little bit too much concentrated wealth and lobbyists and all of this stuff. There are some people, yours truly included, who think it might be a good idea to sort of disband D.C., right? Make it a ceremonial, historical location, but all of this stuff is sort of, dissipated and decentralized back around the country so that all of the nefarious characters can't just coalesce and collude with each other in their disgusting halls around, the basements of Congress. So instead, Biden made the revelation to Senate Democrats during a lunch on Thursday. He's like, oh yeah, by the way. And he angered the colleagues. Now, they're really, really angry, right? I'm not overstating this. Here's what they said. Via text message, one House Democrat sent a text message to The Hill, this entity right here. They said the White House effed this up royally. They even had to, asterisk out the F word here. Noting that the White House issued a statement of administration, the statement of administration policy. So you're going to hear these in Karine's testimony. She talks about SAPs, right? The statement of administration policy, the SAPs, opposing the resolution and backing DC. And that they were prepared. House Democrat leadership told lawmakers that Biden was going to veto what the Republicans were doing, right? The Republicans were going to pass this. They're in control of the House. There were a couple of defectors in the Senate And so anyways, he was going to nuke this. Now he's not. So the declaration from OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, called on Congress to respect the District of Columbia's autonomy to govern itself and govern its own affairs. Right? DC says, hey, you know, we're our own society here, and we want to govern ourselves. And I definitely don't want the federal government governing me. So I can relate to their plight there, but they're living in DC, and there's certain reasons why it's a district and not a state. So a lot of us who are allies, one lawmaker continued. This is a lawmaker who's dropping these F-bombs to the Hill. Okay? One Democrat told the Hill. One House Democrat. So this is a congressperson. The White House effed this up royally. He goes on, he continues. He says, so a lot of us who are allies voted no in order to support what the White House wanted. We voted this way to support Biden. And now we are being hung out to dry, he said, or she. The lawmaker continued, quote, effing amateur hour. Effing amateur hour. Heads should roll over at the White House over this. Whew. Whew. The House Democrat added multiple other lawmakers were, quote, extremely, capitalized, all right, pissed about the situation. Extremely pissed, effing amateur hour, and heads should roll. Wow. They're angry. Pete Aguilar, you may know him from the fake, illegally constituted January 6th Select Committee that wasn't following their own House rules, H.R. 503. He was the number 3 House Democrat, issued a rare rebuke of the White House during a Punchbowl News segment. He said Biden's move was disappointing. Said, it's disappointing for me and anybody who believes in the home rule, honestly. I'm a former mayor of a city of 70,000, and I wouldn't want the federal government coming in and telling me what city ordinances to pass. So I think it's disappointing in that context, said Aguilar. No, but as a Democrat, he wants the federal government to mandate us into oblivion and tell us what to do. That's weird. Why when he was a mayor was it unacceptable, but now that he's a House representative, it's all appropriate. He says, I voted against it, but I understand and respect the president's position here. He says, we'll see. The Senate has to pass that, and I know that they've said that they have the votes, but all of those things have to happen. But it's disappointing for those of us who believe in home rule, right? The DC should govern itself. So an aide to a House Democrat who opposed the measure texted that the caucus, the Democratic caucus, is, quote, a little shocked by the move, right? They're like, what the heck? The crime bill passed in D.C. unanimously in January. After D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser vetoed it, she said, this is crazy. You guys are like making carjackings allowable in our city. The city council overrode it. The city council overrode it 12-1. And so honestly, it's sort of like you got to kind of agree with the city council. Hey, man. Yeah, I got to side with the local city council, man. If they want crime in their streets, let them have it. Mayor Bowser's trying to veto it. The president's trying to veto it. He's going to win. Or they wanted him to veto the thing, but he's not going to, and it's going to take the power back away from them. The bill would eliminate most mandatory sentences and lower penalties for a number of violent offenses, including carjackings and robberies. It would mostly expand the requirement for jury trials in most misdemeanor cases. Holy moly, you're kidding me. So as a defense attorney, that's like, all right, that's pretty interesting. Jury trials in most misdemeanor cases, I mean, they're trying to do the opposite of that in most states. In Arizona, they're trying to speed up jury trials. In other states, they're trying to take away your right to a jury trial for most misdemeanors. Most misdemeanors, you don't have a right to a jury trial, right? In Arizona, let's say you get charged with an assault charge or something like that, right? And it's a misdemeanor low-level assault, or even, there are other categories where you'd be surprised. You get jury trials for like a DUI, but they're even trying to speed those up by removing your ability to strike certain jurors. So in other words, if they were going to expand this, that means that you're going to get a lot better plea deals, because they're not going to have the capacity to hire prosecutors to do more jury trials and more misdemeanor cases. And you're going to have a million defense attorneys who are saying, oh, perfect. Everything's a jury trial now. Okay. Yeah. Assault, set it for a jury. Set it for a jury. Sure. Why not? Because, you'll go and you just do it. And all you got to do is, if you've got 50 cases, you just set them all for trial. And then, all the defense attorneys out of one particular prosecutor's office do that. And then they just get overwhelmed and burdened down. And so that would be a big change, right? I can see why they vetoed this. Like, this is an insane thing to do. But if the city council wanted it, man, let them govern themselves. In a tweet, Biden specifically mentioned the issue of carjackings. As of Thursday, there have been 94 carjackings in D.C. alone. One thing that the president believes is making the streets safer. Nevertheless, the Democrats are still upset. Today has been a sad day for D.C., said Eleanor Holmes, and our right to self-governance. Joe Manchin and others said that they're going to side with Republicans. Said, I'm reviewing the actual provisions of the crime bill, and the president obviously said he's not going to veto it, which I think may weigh with my colleagues, so they're still debating it. Yeah, because if they pass these crime bills and crime gets worse, the Republicans are going to beat them politically with this stuff, right? They're going to say, yeah, look what they've done to their cities. They're weak on crime. So the Democrats are trying to pre-butt this. They don't want it to go that badly. Right? But when they did it, man, the Democrats are unhappy. So he says, if the Senate votes to overturn what D.C. did, I'll sign it. He's agreeing with the Republicans, and the Democrats are just angry. Here was one article over from Slate. We'll just take a quick look at it and move on, but you can see the language they're using. Why Biden stabbed D.C. in the back. Yikes. For the first 2 years of his presidency, he positioned himself as a supporter of the home rule, wanting to make D.C. the 51st state. But then on Thursday, he stabbed him in the back. In a single tweet, the president reversed more than 2 years of staunch support for home rule, abandoning his principles the moment they became politically expedient. Biden announced that he would sign legislation nullifying the D.C. code. His action will, perversely, this person says, make the district less safe, preserving an outdated 122-year-old criminal code whose ambiguities make it harder for prosecutors to charge violent crimes. I mean, this person is unhappy about it. And that's Mark Joseph Stern over at slate.com. That's just one article. And this sort of pattern was sort of repeated because a lot of this stuff is, largely copy and paste. But this was another one, right, from Slate. Democrat rep turns on Biden. Absolute amateur hour. Heavy criticism. 173 Democrats supported it. And the Democrats are just unloading. So Joe Biden was asked about this today as he was meandering his way down the halls of Congress. And there was, let's see if there wasn't too much that we got out of him, but there was a journo, a reporter who was there, Capitol Hill, Trish, I believe is her name. And here is what she asked as he was walking through the halls.
Mr. President, what do you plan to do on the D.C. crime bill? We understand you will not veto the effort to rescind it.
Can you talk to us about that, sir?
Will you please talk to us, sir?
No. Oh, he's not talking. All right, so they're asking him about it. He's just walking on by. AOC was very unhappy about this as well. She says, look, Mr. President, this ain't it, all right? D.C., she said, has a right to govern itself like any other state or municipality. If the president supports D.C. statehood, he should govern like it. Plenty of places pass laws the president may disagree with. He should respect the people and the people's government of D.C. just as he does elsewhere, right? So she's very unhappy about it too. And there's going to be a lot more of this, I think, when this comes under sort of, next week, once the full measure of this has been absorbed, we'll see what the other reaction looks like. But of course, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, she's this woman here. We've talked about her before several times. You may know her from other prior shows here where she rejected the National Guard on January 5th. There was an effort to bring in some support for the speech and for the protests that were going to be taking place. They sent a letter over there. Hey, do you need any support? She said, absolutely not. Don't you send anybody over here. And she said, we're DC and we're going to govern ourselves. We don't want your troops here in any way, shape, or form. And then look what happened. Now they turn around and blame Trump for it. And MAGA Republicans who didn't do anything wrong. Point is, this is DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, and she's going to play this victim card pretty hard. These big government bureaucrats get very upset when a big government comes down and impedes on their local lifestyles. It's irritating, isn't it? Don't you hate when that happens?
After a tough day for democracy in Washington, D.C. And it is a reminder to all of us that we we are subject to the whims of the Congress until we become.
You're telling me we are subject to the whims of Congress and your psycho party.
The 51st state. I've said earlier that limited home rule is an indignity in itself. I learned while I was mayor, one thing practical thing that I didn't know almost until the very moment that the then President Trump's chief of staff called us to tell us he wanted to take over our police department. But that's what the Home Rule Charter allows. We learned in our own ability to fund abortion care for these low-income DC residents has been blocked for years and years because of riders put on by the Congress. But that's what the Home Rule Charter allows. And today, we also are reminded that the legislative process in the District of Columbia doesn't end when the council votes, or I sign a bill, or I veto a bill. It ends at the Congress and ultimately with the President of the United States.
Right.
That's the indignity of limited home rule. There is but one way to change it, and that
Statehood.
is to become the 51st state.
They want it, man. They're going to push for it hard. It would change the whole fabric of the whole country, right? You'd have another 3 electoral votes, and you know that there are many elections that are just, by the skin of your teeth there.
So I am immensely proud of what we've done together as Democrats over the last 8 years and decades before that to raise the issue of statehood. Of course, it's about our own representation and autonomy, but it's also about how this nation becomes a more perfect union and has full representation of the values of the people of America in the Congress.
And it's strange, it feels like she is sort of overriding the will of the people in DC, right? City Council represents the people of DC. She vetoed it. So she didn't like that. Now they're vetoing her veto. And so I guess she's only happy if she has the power and she gets the way that, in other words, she wants it her way. DC wants it their way. They want to win all the time. And if they don't win all the time, it's a bad deal. But that's not how adults operate. That's not how the real world works. So the White House has a lot to answer for. Now, they are very upset at the congressional buildings where a bunch of 100+ Democrats thought that they were going to get one thing from the White House, and turns out they're not. So Karine got asked a bunch of questions about this from members in the media, and one of them was a lot of fun. We'll save it for last. But she was basically fighting with Karine. She's saying, I can't understand this because you're saying that you support DC statehood and self-governance and autonomy, but you literally just strip that away from them. Like you're taking it away. So how do you reconcile those two? And I feel bad for her because she's as confused as we are. We'll get there in a quick minute, right after we talk about being ultra healthy from our friends, with help from our friends at Field of Greens, because we would all like to lose those leftover pandemic pounds. But how sick are you of all of the ads for weight loss pills and fad diets and all that stuff? I mean, you've been there, you've done that. We all know they don't work. But you know what does? Eating 5 healthy servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that and the weight would probably just fall right off. But look, vegetables, not a fan. Who's got time to prepare all of that every day? Instead, think about Field of Greens. Now, Field of Greens is a science-backed formula of specific fruits and vegetables that you won't find in any other product. Proper nutrition reboots your metabolism so you burn calories faster and lose weight a healthier way. And Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Yes, you'll look and feel healthier fast, but the greater proof will come at the next checkup when your doctor sees you and he says, "My goodness, you've lost weight. Whatever you're doing, keep it up." You'll know that you've been eating Field of Greens. Now, it's easy to get started, and it's easy to do it by going over to fieldofgreens.com. When you go there and you fill up your cart with all sorts of good, healthy products, don't forget to use code Robert at checkout. Put Robert right in there, and you're going to save 15% off at checkout, and it's going to be a great decision. The vegetables want to be eating. You're going to be bursting with green energy, and fieldofgreens.com is going to help you do it. So don't forget to use code Robert at checkout. All right, my friends. Now, the media has a lot of questions for the White House. Backstabbed, blindsided, effing amateur hour, and so on is being lobbied towards the Biden administration for sort of pulling the rug out on many of the Democrats who are supporting D.C. home rule. And Karine has to deal with the consequences as usual. Let's see how she does.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Thanks.
You have the floor.
Karine, it is your 100th press briefing.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm sure you're thrilled.
congratulations.
Has it
How-
been
how do you feel
100?
about that?
Oh my God.
I need an Advil.
Cheers.
Cheers.
headache
So moving right along. I wanted to ask about the DC criminal code again. We've been hearing that some of the House Democrats feel like you got thrown under the bus a little bit by the president's decision not to step in on the effort to stop the overhaul, which is a lot of negatives, I understand, but I think you know where I'm going. So I wanted to know, did the president give them a heads up on the decision? Was there any sort of back and forth about it?
So first, let me just say that the White House notified notified the members at the House retreat, as you know, that was earlier this week, or it's still happening in Baltimore. So that's number one. Number two, I do want to lay out that the president and the administration has a very close relationship with House Democrats and Senate Democrats as well. We have worked together. The president has worked very well with the members on delivering bold, historic pieces of legislation in his first 2 years of an administration, and is very proud of the relationship that he has with them, and our teams are constantly in communication with them. And so I'll leave that there. This is a very strong, important relationship for all of us here, including the president. I also want to state that, look, the president supports DC statehood. That is something that you saw in his SAP for this particular DC crime bill. And if Congress sends him a...
Now, the SAP is the Special Administrative Procedure. It's like the document. It's like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Everybody be aware of this, so that it's like a memo, I'd say.
Bill making a DC state, he'll always be sure to sign it, because he's been talking about that for the last 2 decades. But vetoing the bill headed to his desk now won't make DC a state.
Okay.
And so those are the things.
Okay, but it would sort of be reflective of giving DC the autonomy to sort of act like a state, right? I mean, they're not technically a state, but you would still be giving them and granting them the ability to sort of, self-actualize, manifest destiny. They're going to do what we all want to do, which is to govern ourselves free of psychotic bureaucrats. So they could have afforded DC that. They didn't have to agree with the Republicans, right, Karine?
That the president has been very clear about when it comes to DC and their statehood. And so I'll leave it there. But as it relates to the House, as it relates to Senate Democrats, it is a very important relationship for us, and clearly very important. And with the Senate Democratic Caucus, as you know, when he met with them yesterday, he provided what he was going to do and made it very clear to them, and they had that discussion.
I just also want to ask, so, Biden and the Democrats have talked a lot about the need to stem, rising crime, but also the need to reform a criminal justice system that still disproportionately affects, Black Americans. So why not engage in some sort of compromise, or why not let the DC bill, because, the mayor vetoed the criminal code, but she also proposed some changes that she thought would have made the system sort of better on the whole.
So
It's a great question. You also talk a lot about justice reform and criminal justice reform. In addition to you believing as a general matter that DC should have blanket statehood and be able to govern themselves with some autonomy, you also say that criminal justice reform really needs some serious action. And here, DC was focused on this. We've got a city council who obviously knows their city better than Joe Biden does, and they are the people who are meeting with their constituencies, many of whom I'm sure are experiencing issues like this, which is why this issue is so important. It's working its way up to the city council's level, and then they are making a decision, and they voted 12-1 to pass this stuff. The mayor took it away from him. Biden took it away from him, and Biden's joining with the Republicans to do it. So if they are literally trying to do both things and reform the justice system that impacts their citizenry, how can you possibly take that away?
I want to be very clear here, and if you look at the DC bill itself, and I know that there was a little bit of I was asked a couple of questions of what else does it do besides armed carjacking, and I don't normally go line by line on legislation, especially legislation that we haven't introduced.
But you're going to do it now,
but
aren't you?
I did talk to the team, and we have a couple of things that
Yeah.
I just want to lay out for all
Yeah.
of you.
Don't
and
normally
on
do
what
it, but
the DC bill does.
we
It
have to do it
reduces
on this one,
maximum
so hold on a
penalties,
minute.
for offenses like murders and other homicides, armed home invasion burglaries, armed carjackings, as I mentioned, armed robberies, unlawful gun possession, and some sexual assault offenses. And so, look, the president has been very clear. We need to do more to reduce crime, to make communities safer, to save lives. And that's why he put forth Safer America plan that does just that we believe does exactly that. So the way that we see this bill, it doesn't actually reform policing practices. That's not something that it does.
Oh, it's a good
Reform
answer.
like the ones the president has put forward at the federal level. You know about the executive order when it couldn't be done on the Senate side, moving forward with police reform. The president put forth a historic piece of an executive order to try to do what we can at the federal level. And so we believe that this bill does not actually do that.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a good answer. I mean, it's a good answer. She takes a deep breath there because she knows it's all hogwash, but it is a good answer. She's sort of saying, oh gosh. Oh, no, of course we do believe in justice reform and and what's happening to disadvantaged communities who are being disproportionately impacted by police brutality and all those things. And we definitely get it. And so we're not deviating from that. We're very consistent, in fact. However, this bill didn't really hit those checkboxes that we needed it to. And so the bill deviated from our standards. We didn't deviate from theirs, which is very, it's a very nice way to dismantle a good question. It's also very condescending. It's saying to all of those 12 city council people who voted to pass it, you idiots. What do you think this is, a justice bill? You think this is going to reform our justice? Morons. Obviously, you're too dumb. You don't know what you're doing. And so we're going to take this decision away from you, idiots. Maybe you'll get it right next time. And if you do, then maybe we'll allow you to pass it. But if not, we'll just veto it again, or we'll just take it out of your hands regardless. So very, very curious that what's happening here. Now, there was another question from this woman. She says to Karine, look, you could have told them about this earlier. A lot of them are blindsided. Over 150 Democrats voted for you. They stood behind you. They had your back, Joe. Why, when it came time to make a decision on this, why now are you only deciding via Twitter to pull the rug out from under them?
Thanks, Karine. Just following up on Colleen's question on the DC crime bill, the House Democrats who are expressing anger and frustration, they are in part saying that they wish they had known sooner what the president's position would be. As you know, a whole bunch of House Democrats already voted against the bill. Why didn't the White House make this position clear before that vote had taken place in the House?
So look, when we put out the SAP, I think it was around the State of the Union. I think that's when the SAP came out. We were
Early
very clear
February.
on where the president was, which is making sure that he continues his commitment to DC statehood, and that's what you saw in that SAP, in that support for DC statehood.
Okay.
And at the time, many times, even earlier this week, many of you were asking me, I think your colleague was asking me, which direction the president was going to go. And he never made that clear in that SAP. And I think as it was becoming,
Yeah, that's the
we
point.
always let the process in Congress go through, right? Whatever mechanism they
Yeah, the point is that the SAP didn't say anything, and they would have liked the SAP to say something so that they had some notice, right?
take, however it moves forward. So we're always very clear and careful about that. But as it now looks like it was going to come to his desk, we wanted to communicate where we were going to go.
After everybody voted on it.
We wanted to communicate how the president was going to move forward with this particular bill, and we did. And we
After.
we laid that out. We're explaining that now why
Yeah, right, that's
he
the
is
point.
moving forward in that way. And the White House and congressional Democrats, as we have known, have come together on many different things to deliver for the American people, and the president wants to continue to do so.
I guess, the president supports DC statehood, he's been clear about that, but he's not going to veto this bill from Congress, which does amount to Congress sort of meddling in DC's governance, right? So how do you square that circle? Both things can't be true.
They both
No,
can't be
we
true.
believe both things can be true.
Wow.
Look, right now, DC is not a state. This is coming to the president, right?
Okay.
This is something that's coming to his desk, and he has to take action. I just laid out a moment ago to Colleen why we felt that this bill doesn't actually deal with police reform. This president has been
Yeah, because the
someone
DC is too
for
stupid, the
many
council.
years, many decades, who has
Too dumb to
always put
figure it out.
the safety of American families, certainly across the country first. That's why he put together his Safer America plan that lays out 100,000 cops in communities to work with communities to make sure that communities feel safe. The cops plan, that is something that the president started as senator. It's actually a policy that Republicans want to not fund and take away an option to make communities safe. So this is something that the president cares about very strongly.
Not that
and
much.
The way that we see
Not
it
DC
is
statehood.
that this is coming to the president's desk. This is not a legislation that he put forward. DC is not yet a state, even though he supports DC statehood, and he had to make a decision.
Okay, but supporting DC statehood is because you support DC making its own rules and governing itself. You can do that right now, right? You can be consistent in your principles, even though it's not a state.
Look, again, we let the process move forward in Congress, and we felt this was the time to make that decision.
All right, so bad timing. Sorry, Democrats, you got hung out to dry. You were sort of a little bit of a bait and switch going on, right? You thought the president had your back and you were going to be fighting for this, and maybe you had another thing planned out where this would be the first step of a stepping stone to making DC a 51 first state. Don't know. But we try again a third time. We're still trying to reconcile these two things. How can Biden support DC statehood while simultaneously doing things that strip DC of its self-governance and its autonomy? How can those two things be consistent with one another? It'll make your head explode, which is basically what it did to this person in the media as well.
Thank you, Karine. You mentioned the SAP that the administration put out on February 6th. But it's not a broad statement about DC statehood.
No.
It specifically says that the administration opposes the resolution that would dismantle the crime bill. So when was this policy reversed, and why weren't House Democrats notified about the reversal?
So I'll say this, there was never a change of heart on where we were with the SAP. The SAP, the way that it's laid out, speaks to the president supporting DC statehood. That is where we were. That's what we were at the time. Wanted to make sure that we again lifted up where the president has been for the past decades, making sure that DC, fighting for DC to become a state. And we actually say in the SAP that if Congress wants to move forward in that way, we should pass H.R. 51, make DC the 51 state. And so we never laid out where the president was going to go.
Which was the question we just heard.
Once it came to this, because we
Why
wanted
not?
to allow
Why'd you let a bunch
Congress
of
to move forward
Democrats
in the way that
jump
they
into
normally
it?
do with the mechanism when a piece of legislation moves forward. And so we never said anything at this time. Now we're communicating very clearly. Now that we know that this legislation is going to be in the president's at the president's desk, we're making very clear and communicating that where the president is on this legislation.
I'm sorry, it specifically says the word opposes. So is it that the administration wasn't aware of the content, the specifics of the crime bill, and now you are aware, and the president says he doesn't support some of the changes that the DC Council put forward?
Where's the disconnect?
Because when you released the SAP, I'm assuming, maybe incorrectly, that you were very aware of what the council was proposing.
We were aware of what the council were proposing. What we're saying was that we wanted to make sure that we continued the president's continued push for statehood, and that's what we did. That's what we did in the SAP, and that was what was the most important thing that we believed. There was no veto threat in the SAP. There really wasn't. It may have been, I just read it while you were asking me, that we opposed it, but there was no veto threat. So I want to be really clear about it. It stated our support for DC statehood, but it did not indicate what the president would do should the bill come to his desk. It did not say that. It did not lay that out. Now we're communicating that very clearly. We communicated with the House Democrats days ago when they were in Baltimore. And again, I said this to MJ. I remember many of you asking where we were going to go, and I said, we don't have a decision yet. We don't have anything to share on this, on where the president's going to be with this particular bill. And now we are, because we know that it's going to come to his desk.
There must be some state laws that the president also disagrees with that have to do with crime. And he obviously doesn't have the power to do anything about that. I'm trying to square his decision
Good luck.
to use his power to do something in DC while he's also saying, the federal government, should allow them to be their own state.
Yeah,
Because
good
DC
luck.
is not a state.
So he
This
can,
bill,
and therefore he should.
DC is not a state, so therefore the bill is coming to his desk, so he has to make a decision. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that, Ouija, right? Because DC is not a state. Now, he wants DC to become a state. We've been very clear about that. He has said that for decades, that he believes in DC statehood, but it's not. And so therefore, because DC is not a state, when bills like this occur, it goes to the president.
We
and
know the
He has
process.
to make a decision, and that's where we are. It's as simple as that.
It's not that simple,
Now, if DC
Karine.
becomes a state, yes, the
He
president
could be
believes that it
consistent
should
in
be
his
governing, for a
principles.
city should be governing on its own. That's what he believes.
But until then, they shouldn't.
But DC is not a state.
Right, but I'm asking because he does have an option to veto. That is one action he
Right.
could take.
But again, this is a president that believes in keeping communities safe. He believes in keeping the 700,000 residents in DC safe. And so he's taking that action because it's coming to him. We didn't put this legislation to get forth. This is not our legislation. This is a legislation that is coming before the President of the United States because DC is not a state. It's just not. So he has to make a decision. So he's going to make a decision that will help the residents of DC, that will deliver for the residents of DC. And it's as simple as that. Okay.
I'm seeing two.
All right. So thank you for the excellent meme, our friend. That was John McGarvey in the house. Thank you, John. Yes, the stream instantly got better when we were able to deviate our mind off of Karine. So that's what they're talking about over there. Karine Jean-Pierre trying to paper over some of the mistakes that the Biden administration maybe has done. Democrats calling it a major betrayal, saying he stabbed him in the back. They got blindsided. And that this is amateur hour effing. That's how upset they are. So we, of course, will continue to cover it. Thank you for liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Now, we have a real serious issue to attend to now. One of the most pressing issues in our country at this time. AOC may have committed an ethical violation for wearing this dress. You remember this dress, the tax the rich dress. Well, she may have committed a violation. This is the story over from Axios. The House rules say you can't just get a bunch of gifts without anybody accounting for them. You remember this one, tax the rich. The House Ethics Committee extended its investigation into AOC on Thursday over allegations that she violated congressional rules by accepting impermissible gifts at the Met Gala. The Office of Congressional Ethics released an 18-page report, which we are going to read through, that states the board found substantial reasons to believe that she accepted impermissible gifts. Ocasio denies violating the House rules, and her office told NBC News that they're confident that it's going to be dismissed. Now, she made headlines back in 2021 where she wore that dress called Tax the Rich on it, and AOC Tax the Rich dress was very, very popular. A lot of images on this one. You may remember some of these. We covered it back when she was there. Here's one image, tax the rich. Here's another one, tax the rich, as she shows up at one of the most affluent, insanely wealthy, pompous events of all time. Tax the rich right now is kind of the thing. She was super cool. We're going to go in there and I'm going to shove it in their faces. Meanwhile, her assistants, masked up and sort of working hard. So that is what the image looked like. Now, they say a review began after the New York Congress member was provided with a couture dress, handbag, shoes, and jewelry at the New York City event. She got hair, makeup, transportation, and other services. And so she got all of this referred over for ethics violations. Let's see what they say. Here's the report. From the Office of Congressional Ethics, the subject involving Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a United States House of Representatives member, should know better. The board of the Office of Congressional Ethics, hereafter called the board, by a vote of no less than 4 members on June 17th, 2022, adopted the following report about AOC. Now, the violation is about the situation at the Met Gala in 2021. Apparently, AOC accepted impermissible gifts, violating House rules. And so the ultimate recommendation in a unanimous vote of 5-0, not even a single dissent, recommends that the committee further review the above allegation because there is substantial reason to believe that she accepted impermissible gifts associated with her attendance at the Met Gala in 2021. Arrest her! Where is Merrick Garland? Now, it was 5-0. Nobody abstained. A bunch of people were on the board. And here's the table of contents. We're going to go through this critical report here. We have to hold Congress accountable. 18 pages long. Introduction. The nature of the gifts. Oh my goodness. Look at all of this stuff. Hair services, makeup services, attire, other services. Oh, I wonder what those were. And transportation. And AOC is going to give us her explanation for her failure to pay. That's going to be rich. Can't wait to see what that is. Here's the rest of the story. On June 17th, the committee, this board, adopted the following violations. And here's the summary. 1. AOC may have accepted impermissible gifts associated with the gala. If she did, then she may have violated the House rules. Now, the board recommends they continue to look into this stuff. They say that we've got jurisdiction because of the rules, and the procedural history is as follows. And so this kind of is reading like a bar complaint almost, right? That a lawyer would get, or a doctor would get, or any real licensing agency. It's just sort of a licensing agency report, sort of how it's looking like it is being assembled. Summary, jurisdiction, the procedure. So who filed the complaint in the first place is kind of a good question. The OCE received a written request for a preliminary review by at least 2 members of the board, signed on February 18, 2022. It commenced shortly thereafter. The proceedings happened. The report was transmitted to the committee and so on. All right. Now, these are the people that they were asking for statements from. So AOC, they wanted a campaign staffer, Aurora James, other people I don't recognize, the Metro Museum of Art, Met Gala organizer, and a stylist, right? So these are 10 people. A couple people refused to cooperate. Ooh, Aurora James, who is that? Brother Veles and Jana Pia. They refused to cooperate with the OCE's review. So Aurora James is a Canadian creative director and an activist. So it looks like she was probably the one who was, I think, creating the dress, huh? Yeah, I think that's her, right? Aurora James didn't participate. And so I presume that those other people are sort of in the same category. They go through the federal statutes. So we have to ask ourselves if AOC is violating these laws. No member of Congress shall solicit or accept anything of value from a person whose interest may be substantially affected, right? Kind of standard conflict of interest gifting stuff. If you get something of value, you got to declare it, you got to pay for it. Even the House rules say it. It says a member may not accept gifts except as provided by Clause 5. Under Clause 5, gift means a gratuity, a favor, a discount, entertainment, hospitality, or any of these other things. A member may not knowingly accept a gift, may not knowingly accept a gift from a registered lobbyist or an agent of a foreign principal or a private entity. Okay, those are the rules. We'll fast forward through the rules. Now, here's the background. They say, the Met hosts an annual costume benefit gala in order to raise funds for the Institute. It's a collection of more than 33,000 objects representing 7 centuries of fashionable dress and accessories for men, women, and children. The Met Gala provides the Costume Institute with its primary source of annual funding. We also have Condé Nast, which identifies itself as a global media company that produces a bunch of stuff. AOC was invited in 2019, 20, and 21. She couldn't go because of the pandemic. It was canceled. However, she did attend in 2021 along with her partner, Riley Roberts. As discussed more fully below, AOC received a series of goods and services which she did not pay for until the OCE opened this review. She thought she was going to get away with it too, huh? But the OCE busted her. And so they're going to go through it in details for us. In 2021, AOC was invited and did attend the gala. As part of her attendance, she was provided with a couture dress, a handbag, shoes, and jewelry. She received hair, markup, transportation, and ready room services. Riley Roberts, I guess her boyfriend or whatever he calls himself, a person friend, received a bow tie and shoes in advance of the event. Bow tie and shoes. He's in on it too, huh? So while Rep. Ocasio appears to have now finally paid the rental value of the attire she wore, payment for these goods and services did not occur until after we contacted her. But for the opening of this review, it appears that AOC may not have paid for several thousands of dollars worth of goods and services provided to her. Unbelievable! AOC trying to get away with free goodies, typical from Congress. And on April 12th, the Met announced that its 2021 gala would be held September 13, 2021. Ocasio received an invitation to the Met Gala in May 13th. The invitation said as follows. Anna Wintour would be thrilled to have you, AOC. Please come and join us. And Riley Roberts as guests. She accepted the invitation. Now, it's customary for fashion designers attending the Met Gala to dress the gala attendees. Accordingly, shortly after she accepted the invitation, Vogue contacted her and they started working together. AOC told the OCE that she retained counsel. She said, I got a lawyer for this. It's really high profile, and I wanted to make sure I complied with the ethical rules. Campaign staffer echoed those same sentiments, noting that counsel was hired in advance of this non-traditional event to ensure that all Met Gala decisions were met with equitable and applicable ethics requirements. Sounds good. Staffer explained that she worked with counsel and AOC to address compliance-related concerns involving attire. Documents produced by AOC evidence her team working through some of these compliance-related concerns. So AOC then told this committee that a determination was made in advance of the gala that she would be personally paying for the attire that she received. Right? Not going to use campaign funds, not going to use official funds. Seems reasonable. Then on September 13th, she went to the event. She also took part in a Vogue video, which documented her getting ready for the event, where she was putting on that stupid dress. Now, she also got rental goods and services in addition to the video, right? So they got her transportation. We'll send you a car. Access a ready room at the Carlisle Hotel, hair and makeup services, a dress, handbag, shoes, jewelry from Brother Velli's, whatever that is, and transportation to the gala. And it's a nice evening, man. She had a good time. She got pampered up. Brother Velli's also got her person friend, Riley Roberts, a pair of shoes and a bow tie. Now, the day after the gala, Ocasio got significant press coverage regarding her attendance because of the dress. And much of the coverage focused on the extent to which her attendance and attire were permissible under the House rules. So in the wake of this, the campaign director for Director of Advice and Education contacted AOC staff about her attendance. And ultimately, they emailed her about it on the 16th. So they said, hey, AOC, we are contacting you not because we have any questions. Instead, we just are proactively checking to see if you had any questions about any of the ethics rules. Interesting. Okay. So they reached out to her and they said, hey, we see you are in the middle of something right now. Do you have any questions about the rules? If you do have questions about the rules, let us know. We'll help you clarify them so you can paper all this up. Like, you got to pay for some of this stuff. This is something we commonly do, particularly when there's been a high profile matter and we don't have a record of getting guidance, right? And that's interesting. Yeah. So, for example, when I have an issue with a legal matter, like an ethical issue, I have a phone number that I can call at the state bar. I can say, hey, we've got this ethical problem. I'm leaving my law firm. In fact, we did this. I'm leaving my law. We're separating. Do we have to do anything special? They said, well, here's what you got to do. And we followed their advice. And that's part of the process. They've got no record of her calling. And so they say, we just want to make sure you're good. Do you know what you're doing? The committee's staff and director and chief counsel went on to explain the goal of the outreach. Yeah, it's just a brief informal phone call, just checking in. Any questions that you might have? Including whether they could ask about her attendance, including whether she could accept a free ticket for herself and her guest, whether she could receive a custom gown for the event, how to address the gifts that was accepted in contravention of the House rules. So the lawyer actually called her, in which the goal of the outreach was a brief informal phone call where they could discuss those things. Actually, they sent an email. Outreach, it looks like it was an email. So the committee staff director concluded his email to the lawyer by explaining that a phone call would be voluntary and just trying to help. Often these kinds of phone calls are quicker, and and I've had these phone calls. I've had the state bar call me and say, hey, this client called. He's saying that you did this thing. And I say, nope, definitely didn't do that thing. And they say, oh, do you have any evidence of that? I say, yeah, tons of evidence of that. And they say, well, you mind sending me a quick email or just tell me what you did? I say, yeah, this is what I did. I was in court. It was this morning. They say, did judge there? It was all there. Okay, sounds good. I'll deal with this on my own. You need me to send you a follow-up? Nope, don't need you to send anything. They call the person back and they say, look, you're mistaken. That's not, how it went, or, if you have whatever. They clarify it because sometimes people don't know, that they can't complain about being found guilty, right? I got found guilty of something. I'm going to file a complaint against my lawyer. Did he do anything wrong? No. Okay, well, you can't file a complaint against that then. So they call, anything happened? Nope, everything's fine. And they just make it go away. They did the same thing with AOC, but apparently she didn't really respond. Instead, the lawyer responded to this email in writing and outlined the reasons why he believed her attendance and receipt of certain services were permissible under the House rules. Wow. Okay. So her lawyer told the committee, basically the people who enforce the rules, what the rules are. Not a good idea. In this case, the situation was straightforward, says the lawyer. The Congresswoman accepted complimentary attendance at this event, which was a fundraiser for a charity, 501c3. The invitation was extended directly by the sponsor, which was the Met. The Congresswoman was offered a guest ticket. Longtime partner, person friend joined her as well. Apart from the ticket, the meals, the beverages, the Congresswoman is paying personally all other benefits, including the rental value of her dress, handbag, accessories, and others. Congresswoman also paying for hair, makeup, transportation, and the other things. If the committee staff has additional questions, we'd be happy to provide information. Okay, sounds good. As evidenced above, AOC's counsel emphasized, 1, he believed her and her pardon's attendance as a permissible exception to the House rules. And 2, that she would be personally paying for those things. She was aware that her lawyer was talking with the committee. All right. But then, Rep. AOC told the OCE that while she would pay for the services with personal funds, the campaign staffer was tasked with making the actual payments. Uh-oh. As discussed in more detail below, while the services identified have been paid for, AOC neglected to pay for these services until after we opened the review. Thus, despite various efforts to address compliance concerns in advance of the gala through the lawyers, and despite representations to the committee about compliance with the rules, it appears that several $1,000s worth of services may have remained unpaid absent the OCE initiating this review. Below, we identify the goods and services and how payment was made. And they go through all of them. Hair services. All right, let's see what she got. Oh, stylist number 1 did her hair September 13th in preparation for the Met Gala. Condé Nast paid for that. September 21st, Condé Nast advised the agency representing the stylist that a campaign staff would pay the bill. They have an email about that. Just talk to John over at the campaign. He'll pay for it. Streeters provided the campaign staffer with a $477 bill. Whew! Man, that's an expensive haircut, man. I don't care who you are. Between September 30th and February 24th, the bill for hair services went unpaid. Rude. During this time, Streeter's accounts and the receivable department made repeated attempts to secure payment. Holy crap, culminating in a February 23rd email threatening to file a complaint with the labor policy against AOC for not payment. Man, she wasn't going to pay her bills either. Unbelievable. If it wasn't deposited before the end of business tomorrow, they said, we're going to file a complaint against you. Now, 2 days after the OCE first contacted AOC about this review, then the staffer, 2 days after OCE contacted her, AOC's like, where the hell is John? He didn't pay for that hair? So he's like, crap. He gets on the phone. He's like, here's my credit card number. Can you take it over the phone, please? When interviewed, campaign staffer did not provide the OCE with a clear explanation for these delays, aside for acknowledging that it fell off her radar, as she often received emails from streeters and she couldn't focus on their payment requests. Staffer told OCE, oh man, so that poor staffer is probably getting obliterated by AOC right now. Probably not going to be on her team much longer. AOC would periodically follow up with her about needing to pay for these services, but AOC was not aware at the time that the company was making escalating demands. She also had makeup services coordinated by the same people. Let's see what that costs. $344 on that one. It does not appear this was provided as the Wall Group attempted unsuccessfully to have that bill paid. Condé Nast rejected that payment request. And the campaign staffer didn't pay for that either. Holy crap. All right, so the Wall Group collections team made repeated attempts to secure payment from a campaign staffer, noting on multiple occasions that the invoice was extremely overdue, capitalized. Campaign staffer initially attempted to pay the outstanding bill 2 days after the OCE contacted them. Finally made the payment March 16th. When interviewed, how often are they doing this, right? How often is this happening? When interviewed, campaign staffer did not provide the OCE with a clear explanation either. Now, the handbags were rentals, later returned. Others declined to cooperate. Here's a total summation of all the bills. $2,200, $1,300 rental for a rental of a handbag is $1,300. A gown rental is $1,300. Oh my goodness. A handbag rental is $170. And a ribbon pump shoe, $635. Another $900 for some more gear. Campaign staffer could not explain why the gown rental costs were reduced from $1,300 to $300. Oh, wow. So they're adjusting prices too. When asked about billing revisions, yeah, because there are 2 billing revisions here. September 19th, look at this bill. Look at this, $1,300 here, but down here, it's only $300. That's weird. Why would they do that? Why would $635 go down to $160? Who knows? Why? She understood that the shoes would be rentals and flagged it. Accordingly, there were general discussions about the bill. Okay, so AOC was angry about the bill, right? She's like, I don't want to pay that. That's nuts. So she told him to go back and negotiate the bill down. Prior to the Met Gala, she had discussions. Final bill would be about $1,000. So the bill was too high. They went back and negotiated it. Declined to cooperate with the interview. As of March 2022, $1,000 owed to Brother Veli's, still unpaid. Campaign staffer couldn't explain it. When asked about the extent to which AOC was aware this payment was not made, she said that AOC knew that the payments were not made since they had not been put on her credit card or withdrawn from her account, right? If these are personal funds, she's not seeing them come out? She said, I wasn't providing AOC with a regular status on that. That's her personal stuff. And then AOC was waiting to hear back from Jana on the updated invoice because she didn't want to pay all that money. So after the OCE opened the review, the lawyer for AOC contacted and they identified $5,500 worth of unpaid goods. Here's what they summed up. Room 1121 at the Carlisle Hotel, $1,200, $1,200. They upgraded to a better room. Oh my goodness. Our clients are in receipt of your request for an invoice. These two, AOC and Riley Roberts, they came in and they stayed at our properties and they didn't pay for anything. The first 2 nights they were in room 1122. Those were $1,200 a night. But they didn't like that room. So on the 3rd night they upgraded to 911 room, interestingly, and that room was $2,100 a night, probably a suite. Shoes for Roberts, $136. A bow tie, $270. Total $5,500. There was also round trip transportation for $180. They asked AOC, hey, AOC, you want to manage the federal government and spend money hand over fist that isn't yours. Why are you doing it here in your own personal life too? When asked about the delays in payments for the variety of goods and services, AOC acknowledged that there was a ball that was dropped. The situation is, quote, deeply regrettable. The next dress she wears should say, pay your bills. That would be a good one. AOC recalled following up with campaign staffers several times after the Met Gala about the need to pay for the services. They told her she was in a holding pattern. She said, I'm not really privy to the details about how payment was supposed to be structured. And I just learned about the extent of the non-payment recently. Right. So the board says, we don't believe her on anything. We find that there is substantial reason to believe that AOC accepted impermissible gifts at the gala. And based on the foregoing, we believe that there is substantial reason that they were associated with the Met Gala. We recommend the committee further review the above allegation about her attendance. And we say these people did not cooperate. And the board recommends that the Committee on Ethics issue subpoenas. Yes! Yes! Issue the subpoenas to Aurora James and to Brother Veli's and Jana Pia. All in on the Met Gala grift. AOC. Unbelievable. Won't even pay her stinking bills. And she wants the whole government to pay for, I guess, everybody's bills because she doesn't really care about money. It's not hers. Somebody else will pay for it. Kind of a standard theme for them. So, all right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully they do continue to investigate this. This is a catastrophe in American government. And I hope we get to the bottom of it. I demand action, impeachment, and arrest. Fast trials. All right. So that, my friends, is the AOC saga. Of course, we'll decide whether to continue to cover it or not. We'll see. I hope you join us regardless. Thank you for subscribing and liking this video wherever it is you're watching it. and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that was it for us on the day. We covered some good ground. We got some AOC fun Friday, ethic complaint. We have Karine Jean-Pierre and the big meltdown in D.C. Democrats are very upset about that. AOC is too. I expect there will be more reaction to that next week, and we'll see what this does to Biden. He's sort of flailing all over the place. We'll see if this is the first sign of a splinter or where it goes. Only time will tell. But now, my friends, it is time to hear from you and to see what you have to say about this. We've got some friends over on Rumble. We've got some friends over on YouTube and on Twitter. And of course, we appreciate everybody joining us on this beautiful stream on this lovely, lovely Friday, last day of the week, before we get into some business over the weekend. Now, here we had one from Fred Pedamonte and his rascally dog, Johnny. He says, Rob, Johnny wants to tell you, I apologize for the stale remark. I was drunk. I'm going to send you some free uranium via FedEx. Sorry again, Johnny. Well, Johnny, there's nothing to apologize for, Johnny. I don't even remember. Did I say oh yeah, I forgot. I was a little bit rude yesterday. I said he wasn't going to get a treat, but I really couldn't help myself, I really would give him a treat anyways and probably give him good belly rubs, even if he was meeting with Bill Gates on Epstein Island and playing around with uranium. I mean, I'd still have questions for him. I'm going to accept the uranium. Bygones are bygones, Johnny. No problem at all, my friend. Let me know when you're down for a walk. We'll make it a good one. Thanks for being here on this lovely Friday. And thank you, Fred, for the very fun interaction. All right. And so those were from our friends over on YouTube. And thank you, all of our YouTube friends. TC Tran over on Rumble says, great show. Thank you, TC. I appreciate you there. Nick Danger says, ending on an AOC note will make for a good weekend. Yeah. TJ Mack says, what about doing Twitch streams? AOC did a bunch of those. I wonder how much money she made. That's a good question. Yeah, I wonder what she does with her. She would have to declare, right? I mean, she's got to get income from Twitter and other, like Instagram, right? She's big on Instagram. Scott Tix is in the house. Cat Crap Fever's over there. Campaign staffer equals the scapegoat is exactly right. That staffer is just going through one right now. She's like responsible for everything. AOC backed into somebody at the grocery store. Campaign staffer did that. You know that, right? Hopefully that campaign staffer is very fortified. All right, Salty Zipper is over there. Good to see you, Salty Zipper. And Millie is over there. And of course, Vienticus Prime on down the fort for us. And so we're grateful to everybody watching us over on Rumble and the free speech platforms, whether it's Locals or Twitter or Rumble. We're grateful for you guys. All right, and let's see who is over on Twitter. We got Paul No says, it's a special day, kids. Get in there. It's Meme Friday, baby. And so, yeah, we're going to go over to our after parties for our Locals and YouTube members, which will be on Telegram and on Locals. And we're going to get into all of that. And our friend Paul No is at Sleepy Dog Lee on Twitter. If you're not following him, well, you might want to consider it. Here is another one from Andy P. Says, this is the only situation in which you can see AOC and ethics being used in the same sentence. She didn't even pay her bills. The mystery is solved, says Vienticus. The person shouting, where is she on January 6th was actually a bill collector. That's a good zinger, V. Yeah. Where is AOC? He's going to serve her with a collection notice because her cable bill's overdue, Good to see you, V. That's funny. We have another one. James Pepper's in the house. Says close, but no cigar. Reminds me of a Gary Larson Far Side one. Good to see you, James. Paul No says, bro, I got you on Twitter, bro. Of course I'm here, bro. You are bro. Bro supports bro. Right, bro? Bro, totally. 100%. Thanks, Paul. Brenda says, how do you join your Telegram channel? So you got to become a member one way or the other. And Brenda, the best way to do it if you're on Twitter is going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Sign up there, and then you're going to get the Telegram channel link. If you join on YouTube, if you're a member on YouTube, check out the post section, and it's a members only post. Grab the link, and then you just get the link, and then come and join us on Telegram. And it's a lot of fun. Let's see what's going on over there. Yeah, see, here's what's going here's what's going on over there. This is how Trump shakes hands. That's basically, well, here it is. Here it is. You were looking at me. That's how Trump shakes hands. That's what's going on over on Telegram. And here's another one. Vanty Kiss is over there. Kelly Selnow's over there. Palmy Nose in the house. Do we get to see the Tesla cam of the accident? Oh, here's AOC, Repo Man. Repoed woman. Repoed woman because she won't pay her bills. That's what's going on over at the Telegram. Good to see everybody over there. All right. And also back on Twitter, we had Rebecca John posted that one. I think that came in from John McGarvey on Locals. Thank you for that one. That is just a good one. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe one day I can grow that out. Sheila Mays is here, says, love your show. Well, thank you, Sheila. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm glad that you're here. It wouldn't be a show if you weren't here watching. So I'm grateful that you're here and joining us. But all right, my friends, I think that is about it for us over on YouTube. Did I see another one come in? I think my screen just flew by. Let's do one final refresh over on YouTube. Who is here today? Allison Cole. That's very nice, Allison. Here's what Allison said. I think I can pull this one up on the screen. Yeah, I can right here. Says, Rob, your chat is wonderful and full of smart people. We all love Rob. Thanks for bringing us together. Well, that's a very nice comment, Allison. We do. We have the best chat, the smartest people, incredibly good looking too. I'm not sure if you've noticed that. Have you looked at the profile pictures? And intelligent too, and good personalities. And they smell great too, probably. So thank you for that, Allison. I appreciate you being here. I have a ton of fun with you guys. I really enjoy spending time with you here, going through this stuff together. If I had to do it alone, I'd be going crazy. So the fact that we get to kind of get on here and just sort of spike the football, dunk on these weirdos a little bit is a lot of fun. And I'm grateful that you're here and joining us as we do it. So thank you very much, Allison. All right, my friends. Well, I think that is about it for us on the day. And so if you are a YouTube member or a Locals member, stick around, join us on Telegram. We're going to hang out for our after party. But that is going to be it for us on the day. Of course, my friends, it is a Friday. It's a beautiful weekend ahead. And so we will leave it right there. I hope to see you back here on Monday, though, so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Have a beautiful weekend, my friends. Unplug from politics, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D, practice those breathing exercises, and I will see you right back here on Monday. Make it a great weekend, my friends. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.